Hey guys, welcome back to Coding Adda. My name is Aditya, and in this video, we are going to understand what is logging and monitoring. Now that we have created GitHub Actions, it is very important to have the CI/CD pipeline or the pipeline that we are creating for our custom use case to have proper logging and proper monitoring. So in this video, we will be understanding what are the different ways we can have logging and how we can monitor the actions. So without any further delay, let's get into the computer screen and let's start with the video. What we'll be learning, how to group logs so that they are easier to read, how to add color sensitive notices, warnings and errors, how to hide sensitive values from logs, how to write a nice summary from GitHub UI, and how to save log files as downloadable artifacts, and how to get notified when a workflow fails. The name would be Learn Logging and Monitoring, Workflow Dispatch, directly trigger from the GitHub UI, and also when there is any changes pushed into the master branch. The first job that we have is there are different logging techniques that we have. Okay, it will obviously all this will be running on GitHub's hosted runner. Okay, first thing is to have grouping logs. These logs are grouped under as a collapsible actions in GitHub UI. Very useful when a step has a lot of output, it keeps it tight. Okay, this is one technique to have logs which are grouped, wherein we are installing different kinds of packages. So what we can say is like, okay, this is the group. These are installing packages, installing express.env and all packages are installed. And then building an app. Whenever there is something which involves multiple things inside a given group, like installing, doing a build, copying from one path to another, there we can have a group log. Okay, this is how you can write. This is the starting of the group, this is the ending of the group. And everything above this is grouped. Next is the second technique, which helps notices, warnings, and errors. These appear as colored banners in the GitHub UI. Notice blue warning for yellow and error as red. Blue info banner, here we are giving notice like this is an info notice just for your information. If it is a warning, this is a warning, something looks off. Red banner meaning this is an error annotation. You can also point to a specific file from and line number, meaning the warning is file inside src index.js and the line number is 42. This function is depreciated. So this is a way you can actually have colored different kind of annotations based on your project and based on the things that you have in your files, so that it is better to have notices directly in the GitHub Actions rather than going through the entire logs. The next thing is to hide sensitive values. We use something called add mask to prevent a value from ever appearing in logs. Always mask before you use the value, not after. Let's say this is a secret value that I have. We say add mask before this secret. So what it will give us as the star values. Now if it appears anywhere in this run, GitHub shows as star. Secret is add star. The fourth technique here is to create a nice summary. Anything you write to GitHub's tab summary appears in the summary tab of your workflow run in the GitHub UI. It supports markdowns, headings, tables, and bold text. So the fourth technique is to have a step summary, to have a build report. Like, okay, this is the installation, this is the time it took, the test, lint, and build. So the total time it took is 75 seconds. Everything looks great, ready to deploy, and summary. And the fifth technique is saving files as artifacts. Artifacts are basically, you can say, the files that you can download after the workflow is complete. You can say a zip file or a zip file or a tar gz file. Here we can use them for test reports, log files, and build outputs. What we are doing here is creating a log, and then we are saying app started successfully, connected to DB, response time, processed this much request, and the log file was created. And the technique B is upload log as a downloadable artifact. So like when we click on that, we can actually download that log. And how much time to have the retention as, meaning how much days we have to keep it before it gets auto deleted. We say, okay, keep it for 7 days before it gets auto deleted. Correct. Now, the sixth technique is to pass values between the steps. Use GitHub underscore output to send a value from one step to the next. Here we set an output value. Build ID is build.github ran number hyphen date, and then we store that build ID as a GitHub output, and then we pass that value into the next step, which is 6b. Use the output from the previous step, build ID from previous step, steps.build step dot outputs dot build ID. Correct. Next is the job 2, alert when something goes wrong. Let's say you are building something and you have a Slack channel or you have a Teams channel. What you can do is we can send an alert notification if there is any failure in the GitHub Actions. We can say if there is a failure, only run it. Print failure details, the workflow failed, this is the details. What you can do is if let's say you have a Slack group and you are using Slack for your communications, you can have this Slack web URL and send a Slack message. Currently I don't use it, so I don't have it. But if you are using it, what you can do is directly uncomment this or add it in your GitHub Actions and have it with the Slack URL so that a direct message will be sent into the Slack web URL. And after that, we write a final summary like, okay, this is the workflow failed, a failure was triggered, and check the logs above. Let's try and let's test this. Clear get add get commit -m understanding logging and monitoring git push origin master. Okay, push -f, correct, and reload it here. Okay, we have logging and monitoring. We click here. This was pushed by us. And here if you see, there are logging techniques and alert notifications. Here you can see this is the entire summary that came here, that what we have already put there. Build report, installation took this, total time took this, job summary created at runtime. These are the different annotations that we have, from error annotation, from warning annotation, and an information notice. And we also have an artifact created. So if I click here, we'll be actually able to download this as a zip file, correct? And along with the SHA key and what is the file size present. If we go into the log files over here, you can see we are first having the grouped logs. If I click here, you can see installation is progress, build is done. These are the colored annotations that we have, warning. Okay, then is masking the secrets as a star values, then generating a step summary that we saw in the earlier page, creating some log files over here connected to the DB, and then uploading the log files as a downloadable artifact. We can obviously get it from here as well. Then taking up a value, setting up an output value, and passing that value into the next step. That is also completed. And after that, we are just checking out our code. Okay, so based on the project that you have, if you are using Git, it is very important to have logging and monitoring present. Obviously, what you can do is, even if you are not using Slack, what you can do is have NodeMailer installed and have an email notification sent to the user who has committed or checked in the code into that repository or in that branch, or specifically where the GitHub action was triggered, so that you have a better idea and better control over, okay, like this is the changes that made the build fail, hence the code was not checked. Okay, so yeah, this was it for the video. If you like the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next one. Until then, bye bye.